Is our only option tiny homes? In this video today, I'll be having a special guest who will be talking about tiny homes. And is that something that is reasonable, more affordable for this economy to kind of lean on as of right now?
All right, Valerie, we are super excited to have you today. So, will you tell us a little bit about yourself, how people can find you on social media, and all that fun stuff?
Well, great. Thank you for inviting me. This is great. So, I'm Valerie Ballard. I am the founder and executive director of Operation Tiny House. And you can find us online at operationtinyhouse.org. We're on Instagram, Operation Tiny House DFW, as well as Facebook. So, and then we've got some other new platforms going on, but we're available on social media.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm super excited to have you today. I know that, pricing of housing is going up, and so many people are like, well, what are some other options? What is still reasonable? What's affordable? And so I was thinking, what better way to talk about other affordable homes than tiny homes? So I kind of want to just ask you, like, just throw out some questions so you can let everyone else know, like, what is the price of a tiny home compared to, what we're seeing now, all these, crazy prices.
Oh, yeah. So it kind of depends on what your style is. So if you want a small, tiny house, something that's under 400 square feet, that's what we consider to be tiny house. So we build them as small as 112 square feet.
Wow.
Absolutely. And then up to like 170 square feet. So it just depends on your preference. How much space do you really need? So I always tell people to come by, tour tiny houses, whether it's here in Dallas where we are or wherever. Take a look and see how much space it is that you use, because tiny houses range anywhere from $50,000 up to $200,000.
So it's super affordable.
It is.
I hear a little bit of background. I don't know if that's okay, maybe that was just on my end. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so anywhere from 50,000 to about $250,000. That's great. And then square footage wise, it's anywhere from 100. What's the smallest tiny home?
Smallest tiny house that we build is about 112 square feet.
Okay, and it can go up to 400 max, right?
400 is considered to be a tiny house. Anything over 400 square feet, that's a park model. It's like a trailer home. Yeah, it's a custom. And some people still want to call it a tiny house, but tiny house technically is under 400 square feet.
Okay, I love that. A lot of people always ask, like, is it illegal to live in a tiny house? I don't think so, right? You have to just be zoned. Can you kind of give us a little bit about information on that?
Absolutely. So, no, it's not illegal to live in a tiny house, but depending on where you're going to park your tiny house, you need to check with the city and make sure, whichever city you're in, make sure it's okay. And everybody has different rules. So some people may say if your if your tiny house is on wheels, then yes, it's okay to be parked in somebody's backyard. They may say, hey, if you planning on building on a slab, you've got to just make sure that you meet all of the city codes in order to make your tiny house legal. But yeah, you can stay in a tiny house for sure.
Okay, and that's what I was going to ask you. Oh, it is a little bit of background noise. Maybe it's only when I start to talk. I don't know why, but okay, we'll just keep it moving.
I have an air conditioner that's running.
Maybe that's it. I'm not sure.
You want me to check it?
No, it's okay. We'll just keep it going. I mean, at this point, I'll do my best at trying to edit it out if I can. But when it comes to tiny houses, it can be on wheels and it can be on a slab. So what do most people do? Do they do it on a slab? Do they do it on wheels?
Well, it's just your preference. If you want to move your tiny house around, you want that option to go and travel with your tiny house, then I would suggest that you put it on wheels so that you can just attach it to a vehicle and pull it. Now, you're going to need a truck that can actually pull it. So you're looking at a 250 or larger engine to pull a tiny house, depending on what the size is.
Gotcha. And do you feel like a tiny house is worth it? Because that's a lot of questions that's the main question that people ask. Okay, well, is it worth doing a tiny home versus a single family home?
It's affordable.
It's
So
affordable.
it's affordable. So we meet people all the time that says, "Oh my God, my closet is bigger than this. This won't work for me because I have too many shoes. I have too many clothes." So what's your priority, right?
Yes.
So I always tell people to, watch Tiny House Nation, watch those tiny house shows, and you really learn a lot from that. You learn, okay, if you got a big closet, you have a lot of shoes, you know that you're going to have to allocate so much space of your tiny house for your shoes and your clothes. And then, so that may mean that your little living room area, is smaller, or you don't get a kitchen, you just have a sink. I live in a tiny house. I'm not a cook, right? So I don't have a kitchen. I have a kitchenette. I have a sink, but I don't have a full kitchen. So it just depends on what your preference is, right?
Okay.
On that. But I definitely say it's affordable. They're so affordable that you can get it financed. You can even get it financed, right? But it's like once it's paid for, you're not talking about a 30-year mortgage on a tiny house.
Which is great because that's what comes into the affordability of it, and especially if people still want to own something, because I would guess that you could still rent this out if you decided, hey, I no longer want to live in a tiny home. You can go somewhere else and then decide to rent it out to someone else. Have you seen that happen yet?
Oh, absolutely. So what I see happen a lot here in the Dallas area is that seniors are building tiny houses that they live in their backyard, and they rent out their larger house.
I love that. So, fun fact, I actually teach at Tarrant Community College. My senior citizens, I teach them workout classes. And so I have seen so many people transition into senior homes. So many people still have their houses, but they feel like they're too big. So that is something that I feel like that's a market that hasn't really been tapped into. But I'm glad that you brought it up. Girl, it just gave me chills. Maybe God is speaking to me to tell me that I need to tell my seniors about that, because that's something that could definitely benefit them. So that's awesome. What else do you see? Is it just seniors? Have you seen anybody else kind of use this model? I know, of course, your nonprofit is, you have a tiny house community for veterans, but have you seen any other, have you seen people do this in a different way? Can you kind of touch on that? I don't know if that was a good question.
Absolutely. So I meet a lot of people that say, how can I put one of these in my backyard? I want to rent it out. So people are doing that for extra income. And those that are living by themselves in very large houses or building a tiny house in their backyard, they're living there, renting out their home. So yeah, it's open. It's a great market. And if you have a really huge backyard, depending on how large your backyard is, you could get permitted to have more than one tiny house in your backyard.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Okay. And then my other question is, when it comes to tiny houses, people always say, well, how does plumbing work? So you just said that you can have a kitchenette or you can have a full kitchen. I mean, if it's on wheels, how does that, I know you build them, so you know a little bit of like the ins and out. Can you kind of explain on that?
Oh, absolutely. So and I will say this, that depending on where you are, which city, you have to check with what their rules are. But generally you tap into the same sewer and water line that's on the property. And when it comes to the electricity, if it's your tiny house and you're staying in it, you can tap the electric and run electrical to your tiny house. If you're renting it out, some cities want you to put a meter on it. If this is not for a family member and then you're renting it out, they want a separate meter. So there's an electric bill there. So just like it really, really have to check. Every single city is different.
Okay. Well, this is great. I feel like you have given them enough to at least get started to do a little bit more research if tiny house is something that they want to pursue, or if they want to continue to just do the traditional route of a single family home. what I would like to do is maybe we can coordinate this, of course, after we're done with all this. Maybe we can do a workshop for the senior citizens, because I think that that would be awesome to know that they have that option, because I do think it starts to become a little bit much for the seniors, especially if they haven't paid off their home, you know? So I do appreciate you for jumping on, telling us a little bit about tiny houses, and tell them again where they can find your social media. And then if we do decide to do a workshop together, I will, of course, tell you guys where to find that information to sign up for that workshop. So, Valerie, one more time, tell them how they can reach you. And yeah, thank you so much again.
Yes, we're at operationtinyhouse.org. And you can also find us on Facebook at Operation Tiny House, DFW, Instagram. And so, and if none of those work for you, like I meet a lot of seniors that says, I'm just not into social media. You're welcome to contact us, and we'll discuss it with you, see what your options are. But it all starts with a visit. So we're always available. If you want to do a site visit and come out and look at the tiny houses, that's always an opportunity. You can email us at tinydiningranch@gmail.com.
Awesome. And I'll also have the information below as well, guys. So you're able to get a hold of Valerie if you decide to. Thank you again, Valerie. And yeah, hopefully we'll have you back on for something else.
Okay, sounds great.
All right, guys. Until next time, guys.
All righty. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, there she is. It's Keyra Ford. Keyra Ford. You don't know what? Never heard? Oh my gosh, she slays every time.